What's up, guys? This is video number 4. I know when I started off with this assignment, this challenge, it was going to be 6 days in a row and consistently with 6 videos, but it's turned out more like this is video 4 and I'm at a week and a half now, so I apologize for that, but needless to say, I'm getting it done, just not as quickly as I wanted it to. This is video 4 tonight. It's about 9:55 on a Tuesday night. The topic I wanted to discuss in this video is switching gears back to fitness and health. It was about 5 years ago that I initially went through my transformation where I lost close to 60 pounds in 12 weeks through the Chris Gethin program off of bodybuilding.com. And during that 5-year period, I've had my ups and my downs. And typically what my pattern, I have a really good friend, Darren Conroy. We were working out together in Meridian at Gold's at the time. Later became Axiom. And he was just, hey, you should work out or you should compete. And, I put that bug in my ear and I finally said, okay, fine, I'll do it. It ended up being a bucket list. Like, okay, let's check this off and do a competition and just say I did it, right? So I did that first show and I placed, I think, second, and I was hooked, right? And the part I'm hooked about with competing is that process. It's very physically and mentally demanding getting ready for a show. But so I've been competing now for I guess about 4 years. Those first few years I did it on my own show prep, my own diet, meal plan, and workout plan. And that only got me so far, and that's when I decided that I needed to hire a coach. I needed somebody to bring in that accountability. That's when I met John at Big John Fitness. So I went in and met with John. We talked and really liked John from the get-go. I had some really positive feedback. I called a bunch of different places and just asked different friends, and John obviously was becoming highly recommended. So John and I talked and we set off, and he did my first show prep there together. And I thought it was interesting. I was thinking back, one of the first things that John taught me is that doing a ton of cardio and you just having low calories, that's not the best way to do it. And what I say in this video by any means is not to say all. Everyone's bodies are different. Our bodies respond differently to different foods. You're kind of your own mystery that you have to figure out how your body's going to respond to certain foods. So John, the first thing he did is he gave me that meal plan, and he increased my calories by about 500 calories from what I was eating at that time. I had already started into a show. I'm getting ready for a show, and he increased my calories, and I dropped 10 pounds in a week and a half. And that taught me, hey, I'm starving myself. I'm doing all this cardio. I'm starving myself, and I would lose a lot of size, a lot of muscle mass with the way I was doing it before. I was just, again, lots of cardio, not enough calories. And what I've learned with John in the last few years of competing is that first off, we're going to do it slow. And we're not going to. I would do cuts at 8 weeks. I'd get serious at 8 weeks out, and I'd start cutting really hard. We're starting off at 20 to 18 weeks out. And it's a slow process. It's not something we're trying to speed through and trying to lose too much weight too fast. So kind of with me and John, he keeps my calories as high as they can be with me still losing body fat, right? I do have to make weight for classic physique compared to physique where I just didn't have to make a weight at all. It was just my height. So weight does play into it, but the goal is dropping body fat and keeping muscle mass. So with John, we go really slow, and he keeps my calories high, keeps my carbs a little higher at first, and then we slowly decrease it. I start off with cardio, a little bit of cardio, maybe 15 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week, and then bumps up a little bit more, depending on how my body responds. If I get ahead of the game, I don't have to do as much cardio, right? My diet's not quite as grueling if I respond quicker, which some show preps I've responded really quick. Others, it just kind of took a little longer to get to where I wanted and had to put a little bit more time and effort into it. So decreasing my calories gradually. With me personally, in my body, John typically will pull my carbohydrates out, and carbohydrates, out of the three macronutrients, which are fat, carbohydrates, and protein, your body's main source of energy preference. The first thing your body's going to reach out and grab is carbohydrates for your energy, right? So he would slowly decrease my carbohydrates, and I would get to a point of ketosis where I'm just completely drained of carbs, and at that point my body adjusts, and at this point my body is burning fat as its main source of energy. Well, obviously when you pull those carbohydrates out of your diet, you're pulling a lot of calories out of your diet, so he would compensate my diet by raising my fats and my protein. That way, because I'm having extremely low carbs, I'm talking 50 grams or less a day, right? So you have to compensate your carbs or your calories up, right? So, and that's kind of hard for people to wrap their mind around. They're thinking, okay, well you're eating over 100 grams of fat, but you're getting shredded. Well, it's because, again, my body has changed and it's now relying on fats for fuel, so I'm burning more fat. But that's for me. I don't want people out there thinking that, hey, this is the only way that you can get ready for a show, because that's not the case. Or to lose body fat and just get peeled and shredded. I have plenty of friends who they do the exact opposite. They have really high carbohydrates and really low fat and moderate protein or higher protein. Or I have friends that do like a 40-40, or not 40-40. What's that breakdown? Basically the same amount of protein, same amount of carbs, and then lower fats. A little tired. Can't think of the percentages there, but anyways, the thing is, the biggest point is you just figuring out what works for you, what works for your body. Again, for me, taking out the carbs really just I lose body fat really fast that way. And then with my cardio, I get to a certain point in my body fat percentage, and I start doing cardio pre-workout, or not pre-workout, but in the morning before breakfast in a fasted state. So fasted cardio, which can be grueling when you're hungry and you're tired and you wake up early in the morning and do that cardio before work. Typically with me, cardio, again, it's what works for you, right? For me, I personally like doing steady state cardio where I'm going really slow. My heart rate's up and I'm breathing hard and I'm working up a sweat, but I'm not like breathing really, really hard, right? My heart rate's moderately up. So I like to do the Stairmaster. I'll even walk on an incline on the treadmill, but I do moderate cardio. And I know a lot of people that would rather do high intensity intervals, which that works too, you know. So again, it really has to be what's going to motivate you and what works for you. With lifting weights, when I'm getting really lean, I still try to lift as heavy as I can. If I still do have carbs in my diet, in show prep, typically I'll try to have those carbs first thing in the morning, and then pre-workout, post-workout. You know, that's also a good rule of thumb if you're trying to maintain, because you're going to utilize those carbohydrates more during that time, and then as you get into the evening, kind of cutting your carbs down. But again, this is the way I do it. Let's see here. Supplements, typically I use a whey isolate protein. As I get closer into a show, John will have me take protein out completely. And for me, he'll put in tilapia, because it's a low fat, high protein source of fish, and it's cheap. John knows that, hey, this is my budget. He knows I like to diet cheaply, so like some of my fat sources will be olive oil because it's really cheap. You know, eggs, different sorts of things like that are going to be less expensive. So that's how I cut for a show. And with the cardio, I might do it fast in the morning, but towards the end, I might even do it post-workout right after I get done working out. So again, it's just kind of what works for you, and as long as you have a plan, right, that you're following something. And because that's really, if you're following a plan and you're eating certain types of foods, you're going to be able to look back and you're going to be able to see what patterns, what worked and what didn't work, right? So that way you're not making the same mistakes over and over again. But with that being said, your body adapts. You know, with one cut, something might have worked really well, and then you find the next cut it's not working well, so you have to switch it up and change it. Now, so that's getting really lean. I love that process. I love the discipline it takes. I love being disciplined and just every day hitting my workouts and being perfect in my meal plan. With John, typically when I would do my low carbs, he would have a refeed day once a week. I'm thinking this last show before the Emerald Cup, I was down to, I think we were about 2.5 weeks out from the show, and I was down to 206, right? And I'd really been having a hard time dropping on the scale, and I was sweating it because I had to get down to 200 or less for my height. So I was at 206, and John calls me, or texts me, shoots me a text, and he says, I want you to go get a large pizza and eat, you know, as much as you can, the whole pizza or whatever. So at that point, I was like, oh, are you kidding me? I've tried so hard to get down weight, but John, he knows my body. He knows how I respond. So I trusted him, like I've had to do many of times because he's always right. And I went and got that large pizza, and I ate myself sick. And the next day, I was 223. So I went from 206 to 223 the next morning on the scale. I was also weighing myself first thing in the morning, weigh myself at night, weigh myself in the morning to see how much water weight dropped throughout the evening time because I carry a lot of water weight. So yeah, 223 or whatever afterwards the next day, and I was just like, it was mental. I was like, crap. Now I have 23 pounds to go, and I only have like 2.5 weeks to do it. But okay, I'm gonna stick with the plan and do it. And a week later, I was down to 203. So my body responded, jump-started metabolism. I dropped back down, doing that refeed, that once a week refeed with low carbs. And I was able to make weight. I actually weighed in at 194. And then typically after I weigh in, I go and get a burger and fries, and I carb up because it actually fills me out. For dinner that night, I'll have a burger and fries, and then for breakfast, I'll have some pancakes or something like that. So, but we've learned that because of experience, right? Going through multiple shows, figuring out how my body responds, keeping track of what I eat, and knowing that, hey, I respond well to fats and sodium together. I respond well with burger and fries. It fills me out. I respond well in the morning time to some carbs and some sugar. Right before I get on the stage, having some sodium, something salty. I even had Lay's potato chips right before I went out, and it just filled me out. So again, figuring out what works for you. Now the next thing I want to talk about is after the show's over, right? I have struggled so much with this. I think that in this 4-year period, I've done the same thing over and over again. I keep telling myself, okay, after the show, I'm gonna maintain, I'm gonna stay lean, unless I was bulking, right? I was gonna put on weight and bulk and put on muscle. But this last show, I wanted to stay lean. It was coming in the summer. I wanted to stay lean. And I've been coming up in my 5 years of my transformation. That was another thing John talked to me about the other day. He said that most people don't last the 5 years. They go back to their old habits and they weigh just as much as they did before, or they're just as out of shape as before, if not more. So I'm at that 5-year point now that I'm still continuing to keep with fitness and still is my lifestyle, but I'm still trying to figure things out up here mentally, because what happens is after the show, I'm so used to being disciplined and sticking with my meal plan, and after the show you go out and get a pizza. I remember after one show I had like 3 donuts in backstage right after the show, and I love sugar, so I've kind of accepted that. I'm a sugar person. So the point is, I've told myself, okay, one cheat meal and I'm gonna go right back to my diet the next day. And I've had that happen, and then I've not done that. So let's see. So let's look at this last season here. I was 194 when I weighed in. And then within a month later, I was 225. And then within like 2 months later, I was 240. I'm 240 right now. Not a good 240, right? I mean, I'm holding some weight in my stomach. I have upper abs, not lower abs. I hold my weight, my face, my lower back, my lower stomach. So, and when people like look at me, they don't think fat, but mentally in my mind, I'm like, I'm fat right now, and I'm not trying to insult people that really are obese out there and say, oh, I'm fat, look at me. But the point is, in my mind, I know how I look shredded. And when you're used to seeing yourself really lean and you just the best shape you've ever been in, it's really hard to transition back into looking normal and not feel bad about the way you look. And that's just something I haven't been able to do. I forgot the statistic, but I think it was like 4% of people in the fitness industry really are able to maintain leanness all year round, and that's something I kind of wanted. I do need to put some size on with my legs, but so yeah, I struggle with that. I struggle with not jumping up a ton of weight, and I don't feel like I look unhealthy, but I'm definitely not comfortable right now without my shirt on, which is not what I want. I think if I get down to about 210, I'll have abs and I'll feel a little bit better. But the point is, I've struggled, and I've seen so many people struggle with this after coming off a show and being so disciplined and then just going crazy, right? So not that I went crazy, but I was having like a cheat meal once a week, and it ended up being like a cheat night. And then I was eating. I don't just eat a little bit till I'm content. I eat. And I think there's a couple things that I've recognized about myself, that I'm a stress eater. I get stressed out, I want to eat. Feels good, makes me feel better, right? So that's something I recognize. Okay, if I'm stressed, I got to find another outlet besides eating ice cream or going and getting sweets or something like that. So I remember there's a quote that I actually pulled up on my computer here. It says that food is the most widely abused anxiety drug, and exercise is the most potent underutilized antidepressant. That is so true. You look around you, and there's so many people that are overweight and that are abusing food, and I fall into that. I'm not the weight I should be at. I've abused food. I've used it as an antidepressant, and I've also been on the other end where I'm working out like crazy, and it's making me feel good. I feel great. And really, again, what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to find a balance in my life where I can find that happy medium where I feel good about the way I look, but I'm not extreme like show prep, right? So anyways, that's my 2 cents about getting ready for bodybuilding shows, or shows in general, and off-season maintenance. I think in the off-season you need to have a plan just as much as you have a plan during the season, because if you leave it up in the air, you can put the weight on pretty quick. Also, something called reverse dieting, where you slowly bring calories back in or carbs back in, because if you do it too quick, you gain too much body fat back quick. So the thing is going into it slowly and then coming out of it slowly really is the best way to do it, and I haven't been able to come out of it slowly yet. I'm typically putting on 30 or 40 pounds in the off season. My lifts go up like crazy. I get way stronger, but aesthetically I don't like the way I look. So, and not that that's the most important thing, but for me personally, I want to be comfortable. I want to be able to go to the lake and take my shirt off and play with my kids in the water, and for me personally, feeling comfortable. Not so much about what other people are thinking about me, just how I feel in my own skin. I think with competing, if you're thinking about competing, go for it. I think it's something that the experience will make you stronger, make you a stronger person. Definitely made me a stronger person going through that cutting process and having doubt, and there being times where I'm like, I can't do this. I'm just exhausted. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I can barely lift the weight up, and just pushing through it. Things, stress in your life, going through. This last cut, I was still going through some stuff with this divorce, and it was stressful, and stress, you don't lose weight when you're stressed. You hold on to weight when you're stressed out. So I really had to learn how to calm myself down and not get stressed about things I couldn't control, and just focus on the plan and focus on the things that made me happy and focus on the big picture. And then the best feeling is getting on stage and competing. I enjoy getting on stage and competing. It's just something that motivates me. I'm not quite motivated just to be in shape, right? I'm one of these guys that I have to have something to push me. I have to have a goal to push me. You know, and that's just what makes me weird. I plan on competing for a very long time. I was gonna go back east and compete in nationals this last year, but after going to the Emerald Cup and placed second, which was great, but looking at the guys, because I was in two different classes, and the other class I placed like ninth out of like 38 guys, something like that. But the point is, the top 5 guys were just incredible, and I would have got blown away by people if I had that type of quality at nationals. I wouldn't have placed. I wouldn't have got my pro card. So it was kind of back to the drawing board of, wow, I got to get bigger legs, upper chest. I need after every season you go back and you take the judges' feedback and listen to my coach and go back and work on those things. So hopefully the next season I'm presenting a better package. So, but again, competing's not for everyone. And if you don't want to compete, that doesn't mean you can't get in shape for yourself personally. It's still, you still have that feeling of accomplishment. Especially as you look at progress pics as you go through, and I encourage you to take progress pics. John has me take pictures so that's the biggest thing too with John. Yeah, meal plan, workout plan, but John just is really good at keeping me accountable. I know that I'm gonna have to report my weight. I know I'm gonna have to send him a picture. And if I don't stick with the plan, it's gonna be pretty obvious in the pictures, right? Pictures, you can't hide pictures. You can't hide the weight in the pictures. So taking pictures as you progress through and just seeing, because sometimes it's hard to see the changes because you look in the mirror every day. And it's funny because now 5 years looking back at my before pictures when I was overweight, it's like so hard to think about how I got to that point and was comfortable, right? And I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I have come a long way. Maybe I'm being a little bit too hard on myself. But anyways, if you're ever thinking about changing your lifestyle, losing some weight, obviously it's something that I have some experience in. I would love to give you some advice. If you ever have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, because it's something that I love to help people. I don't mind offering advice, but at the same time, it's not like show prep, but if you have little questions here and there, coaching and show prepping, that's something completely different that you need to shop around and really interview coaches and decide who's going to work well with you and your personality, and who's really going to fit for you, who's going to be a good fit for you. Anyways, that is video 4, and I have no idea what video 5 and 6 are going to be about, but they probably won't be for a couple days, so I have to think about that. So talk to you later.